Welcome to another edition of What the Fuck Happenings in Mendham. Here in Mendham. Anyway, this particular location in Mendham. Yeah. So, another week. Amazing. Just they keep piling on. Yeah, it was sort of another one of those, well, this is a nice, pretty much an example of just how futile it is to communicate with human beings. Kind of weak. Where you're actually talking about communication and it's impossible to communicate on the subject of communicating, which is interesting. Interesting always means something like depressing and irritating and revolting and annoying and all of that stuff, which brings up Piro. So anyway, so it's primarily my thoughts are on this idea of perspective, point of view, that this divergent point of view problem that exists in the world, and the argument that there's one truth, and it's pretty obvious. I would argue now, scientifically obvious. Facts-wise, even if you get the physics wrong and do the silly wave thing, most of it you can, even, the bent space and stuff, yeah, even if you get that wrong, those aren't catastrophic errors in terms of perception, as long as you get the evolution thing right. And, the nature of what we are, which is machines intended to rape and pillage, pretty much, for the success of genetic code. And yes, it doesn't have to be literally rape and literally a pillage, but it's this consumption thing, and it always ends up being less than respectful and dignified and intelligent and productive and efficient, I guess is a good word, efficient. There will be extra blood spilled, no doubt, pain and suffering endured to gain whatever value there is in our personal gratification. So that sort of gets to the Adam Curtis thing. Because I saw an interview with him on the BBC radio, podcasty kind of thing, so look it up, interview, whatever, forgot his name already. Curtis guy. It's gone. Whatever his first name is, I don't remember it anymore. Adam, right? Simplest name in the universe, just about. But anyway, yeah. And you wouldn't even think he was talking about his own documentary, which is sort of interesting. And like I said, I know I've seen some really good documentaries by this guy, because I remember his voice. He has just a great narrator's voice. It's not great in its sound, but he's just very articulate, pronunciation wise, whatever. I mean, just made for narration. I mean, just, beautifully narrated videos. But, largely he's just obsessed with, Islam and the Rand Corporation and, mind control, and it just sounds a way too conspiracy theory, and we don't hear anything about big oil and, all of the other memes that have kept humans distracted and, chasing their own asses or somebody else's ass, and instead of thinking too much and fixing any. So you have to think before you fix. That's sort of how it works. So anyway, so halfway through the interview, though, I was thinking of the term, let's see, what did I use? Unalterative reality. That's what I thought of as a better title. Because the real argument is that people are idiots. And even when they protest being controlled and being manipulated and being played, they don't have any way to, they don't fix anything. They don't have any idea about a replacement. And that's sort of what this, it was sort of an annoying bit of this, now I see why the mystic liked it, because it's this futile argument that somehow none of this can be fixed, and that we can't think of any solutions. And that's just crap. You know, the democracy has obvious and glaring flaws that can be fixed. We can have an affirmative vote democracy. We can apply technology and have, you know, the preferential choice democracy. We can add lots of enhancements to our democracy and make it much better. And then we can certainly do better at separating the branches of government. We certainly could have the Supreme Court elected, easy change. We could you know, separate the law enforcement side of government from the politicians. So we would elect an attorney general, and he would decide who's going to get prosecuted and who we're going to trick and who we're going to trap. You know, and so instead of seducing people to you know, have sex with underage girls, maybe we could seduce some politicians to show their true colors, you know, and catch a few of them instead. So anyway, we can fix this, and the solutions aren't unavailable. It's just that the Rand Corporation and Big Oil and the owners of the networks and all that stuff aren't going to sit there and provide us those solutions. It's hard for people to organize around them, I suppose, because any change means that what they have been given, which is little deals, you know, the government bribes you with little incentives. The government employees know they're protected by the politicians, and likewise the cops, and you know, you just start adding it up, and eventually it's everybody who's sold out for a special interest perk that they're getting through the corruption of the empowered minorities who have sold out for their graft. And most of these are, you know, some of this anyway is through these mechanisms of segregation, which gets to the whole immigration argument. We haven't fixed the we haven't fixed the African immigration problem of 250 years ago or 300. And there's idiots like Piro who are talking about open borders and doing it in such a duplicitous manner. So I guess I'll move on to that. Well, let me finish the unalterative reality argument. That yeah, that this is a fixable, but it's not going to get fixed by, you know, Nobel Prizes in literature going to fakes and phonies like Bob Dylan. It's not going to get fixed. This interview, right? They every few minutes, you know, 10 minutes, I don't know. Maybe it's less than that actually. 7 minutes in the video, they had to play a clip from some obscure, you know, musical reference from the time period. And you know, I mean, I think not and nowhere near a top 40 song. And then they're talking about how this has some meaning or influence or reference or substance in any way to this whole conversation about the tides that move pop culture, and it's almost laughable. I mean, find some of the most obscure rubbish there was, and somehow say it's a commentary on what was moving the times. And again, I you know, there's, you know, not a clip from any of the television being watched in the time. Nothing, you know, no real references to where people's real attitudes were, what their real fears were, what their real concerns were, and they were there. And you know, they just pretended it all happened without our notice. And no, there was notice. It's just that somehow the notice didn't get converted into action. And it's not always because action was unthinkable or no one could figure out a solution. It's that you couldn't make the solution politically viable in the atmosphere of propaganda, heavy propaganda by heavy corporate interests. You know, there was never a communist threat from Vietnam. There was never a communist threat from Cuba. Yet we were taught that these were sick and diseased societies that we had, needed to get immunized from. The world had to be immunized from them. And yet there was no commentary about the nature of capitalism and what it was doing in the world. Well, no equal time, let's say, for the argument that capitalism was doing exactly what it accomplished, which is to degrade the lives of most people, to create insanely imbalanced privilege for a tiny few. Really quite gross. Anyway, so moving on to, I guess the other part of this was they talked about the self-indulgenceness, the me generation kind of thing. He didn't say me generation, I don't think, but he might have in the interview. But that's the other part of it, this idea of there's some motivating feature of some kind of notion of freedom that was suppressed or that people are striving for. And, we have become freer and freer, and that's the joke here, except economically, except in the ways that really matter. Well, I won't say the other ways don't matter, they do. The oppression by religion. And it's a big deal, breaking free of that. We finally got abortion rights in this country, and now we're losing them. Step by step, it's getting harder and harder for somebody to just have an abortion. It's a whole frickin' procedure. You got to drive to another state. You got to go through a whole bunch of hoops and bullshit. You got to buy gravestones and all kinds of other nonsense. So it's not going to be a right very long if certain assholes get into power. Even with the other assholes, it's still in jeopardy because their commitment is shallow and they need the votes, the religious kooks. So anyway, that's part of this immigration thing, so I did want to get to that. And it says, Piero he's made a couple of videos, and he referenced me in both of them in tacky and cheap manner. But that's his style. That's all he has as an argument. He has no real substantive arguments. He concedes. I talked to him last week in his room. He kept saying, I concede the point. So you can point out to him that he's basically invested in unsustainable action. Current policy is unsustainable nonsense. His policy would be grotesquely unsustainable. The idea of feeding off of growth is retarded. A rational brain can know you can't do that forever. You can't even do it for very long without substantial degrades in living conditions. And the Japanese endured that until they finally got their population under control. People actually being hired to shove other people onto to push pushers, into train cars. No sitting, just standing, being smashed into each other. And Piero thinks that's a great life because he loves to smell other people's smells. So he compared immigration to garlic. So that was his counter-argument. Immigration is like garlic. It's like a spice on your shelf that is completely benign and no harm at all. It doesn't cost you anything. It's damn cheap. Cheapest damn thing you can buy almost is garlic. Is that what immigrants are? No. Are they free? No. Almost free. It's just a silly argument. Simplistic, trivial. And then he, because he doesn't have the guts to actually play people's videos and actually respond to the points they make, except for lunatics. And apparently he's done it twice now to videos that were telling jokes, essentially, joke videos. And so he made some rag about somehow that I have cheated somebody in an argument by playing their fucking video, which again, in my opinion, is you've defined yourself and described yourself as the ultimate motherfucking cunt loser when you bitch that somebody else doesn't just paraphrase you, doesn't do a lie like Pirro where you say, "Oh yeah, your argument is that immigrants cause more crime." Those words never came out of my mouth. I never even mentioned crime in any of my videos. It's totally irrelevant. It's not irrelevant, but it's just not the argument. I've argued in defense of culture. Cultures are always going to have to accept some crime, and yeah, I think we can do a lot to prevent crime by having people live in better conditions, and that's not what immigration is going to create. Better incomes, more to lose. Give people more to lose, they won't commit crimes. But that's not what immigration is going to do. It's going to give people less to lose. It is giving people less to lose. But yeah, so a total to lie. He just lied about what my position is and what my argument is, and implied that somehow I had made these arguments. Now maybe Quintica or some other asshole made them, but he used my name. He didn't use their names. He's just a lying cheater. And then he rags that somehow I've cheated somebody in an argument. Now, if you're going to say I've cheated somebody in an argument, then reference the video or the chain of videos, and I'll replay the video. And you know, if you want to be, the more detailed you are on what point I didn't address, the more passionate and horny I'm going to be to go find that spot and demonstrate that I didn't leave anything out. I made a complete argument. And that's what won the day, was my argument. And it's just bullshit to say somehow by playing somebody else's video, okay? Not paraphrasing it, not quote mining it, but playing the fucking thing. So anyway, I just find this you just can't get more of a loser fucking troll when you start implying that somebody has cheated you by making the best effort to be fair to you. And you know, so here I have this project with Pirro where I'm trying to get to this idea of having fairness in debates and fairness in arguments. And apparently this cunt doesn't know what a fucking fair is. I mean, he's clueless on the subject. So anyway, just obnoxious bullshit. So until the liar Pirro provides me with a link to the video conversation where I cheated somebody out of a fair argument, yeah, he can go fuck himself, the lying cunt. So anyway, and then this whole immigration argument, again, for him to sit there and say, I'm making a satisfactory argument by implying that you are complaining about immigration because you don't like the smell of their spices, and that you think they're all criminals, which isn't the truth. But again, the crime statistics, he emphatically declared that if we replace the entire American population, the native white population, and we replaced it with immigrants, there would be less crime. A ludicrous statement, I think, on its face. And you could just go by simple statistics in this state. At least half the people who are driving without proper insurance are immigrants, illegal immigrants. You know, at least half. So good luck with your theory. And yeah, the government doesn't keep these statistics, and they don't keep them for what reason? I don't think they're not keeping them to save the native or the legal immigrants from embarrassment. I think it's to save the illegal immigration numbers from the embarrassment. But regardless, again, it's not an argument I have made. I don't really give a fuck if more immigrants were criminals. That's not why I'm against open borders, or why I'm for limiting immigration. I made the 2 points that were the biggest ones to me. The first one is too much diversity. That is, if immigrants aren't going to learn our language and aren't going to adapt to our customs, that creates a huge stress. And so he just talked as if the language problem was a 10-second problem. It's a huge, expensive problem. It gets into every bit of every bureaucracy and every bit of function in a society when you don't have a common language. It's troublesome, and it creates a lot of friction. And the second one is the customs are, I would say, customs in the sense of an ideology. We're importing religious people and fanatically religious people. Fanatic Catholics and fanatic Muslims, Islamics. And we've already seen how they can corrode our freedom, how their values aren't anywhere near my values. They're not anywhere close to my values, so why should I want that for the country that I thought was going to be progressive rather than regressive? And you saw it in California when there was a referendum for gay marriage. The new immigrant Catholics decided to do something fairly, I would argue, totally un-American in tradition. They decided to impose their religion on other people, and that's all it is. It's an overt, aggressive, fascist position. It's fascism when you think your God is God. That's a fascist. It's bad enough they have a God, but to think their God should tell everybody else what to believe, fuck you. And fuck Piro for thinking it's really great to have a bunch of ignorant religious cunts in the country. And the other one was the plain, simple economic argument. The statistics are undeniable. The number of newborns to illegal immigrants is huge. Okay, and even not even legal immigration, the numbers are huge. The welfare numbers and just the child production numbers, which everybody is getting taxed out of their houses to pay for. And it's just a fact. It's hugely expensive. And this is related to the income degrade. So as our incomes are being degraded by this excess labor, and this is just a fact. Again, he pretends to concede these arguments and then just pretends they don't exist. It's a fact. Okay, that unless you radically change something, immigration means lower wages. That's what it means. That's what it's going to create, inevitably, certainly. Unless you change something. And he will not change anything first. He'll pretend that somehow we're going to change the income disparity after we have the immigrants. Again, while the immigrants are voting against those very policies, because that's socialism, isn't good Catholic capitalism. And the Muslims would have women in cages, for fuck's sake. But anyway, this is a real problem. He just pretends it doesn't exist. He pretends all immigration is this something like the Irish or something. Minor problem. And even the Germans, right? They learn to speak English. There's very few, even though they have a great language full of all kinds of fun words, very few of them have even been diluted into our conversation, into our language. So again, there's not a melting pot. There's winners and losers, and that's all it usually turns into. And the biggest, obvious, most glaring example in American history of how great immigration is what the Europeans did to the Native Americans. They did. we didn't adapt to Native American culture and become Americans in that sense at all. No, we annihilated them and their culture. Very few Native American language words are in our vocabulary. So again, it's just more bullshit. History just tells you basically that if enough immigrants and you no longer have your country. It's their country. And it's happened all through history. A few invaders and all of a sudden nobody can read hieroglyphics. It's gone. It's as if the civilization never even existed. It's so thoroughly eradicated by the immigrants. So this is just his arguments are not on the subject. They're an insult to to the people making rational arguments about clear expenses and clear dangers and clear problems that are manifest in our culture right now, which is the fact that we already have a surplus of labor, unskilled labor, and unless he has some plan to pay for everybody's college education or something else that he can actually implement, he's just lying. He's just evading the subject with his immigrants are like garlic argument, or that this is somehow about the smell of their food. Yeah. So it's just trivial crap. It's the very thing, the whole idea of advancing debate and argument to a better platform where arguments as disgustingly insipid as his would be thoroughly humiliated as they should be. There should be a theater where he gets thoroughly humiliated, okay, and he gets shown to be nothing but a trash-talking, emotionalism, distracting person of no competence in making reasoned arguments. So, might be worth injecting here that for my idea of building the Colosseum. I might be looking for a better partner, so be hoping something better comes along. Because I don't think Piro's got the brains for the job. A brain for the job, and we might as well be immigrants to each other, because I don't get him, and I don't want to get him. Okay, I wouldn't want to live next door to somebody who's that silly in terms of recognizing what might be a problem, like your overflowing septic tank or something. You probably can't figure out how that's not a good thing because it's an interesting smell. Maybe he'll like it. So anyway, probably enough. So something added on, probably, and we'll call it a day, and such, and so forth and whatnot. Yeah. So, till very shortly. Just snap of the fingers almost. Alright, I'm back. Oh, you noticed. Sorry, don't mean to point out the obvious. I don't want to be a jerk, like certain people. Yeah, so anyway. So I think I will continue with the Piro rag for this segment, and just leave it at that. It's sort of an interesting subject in the sense of, is there any point in talking to people and all that kind of stuff. And in the context of me and Piro spending 3 hours talking about building mechanisms that will make this, to facilitate the idea of making arguments more poignant, more direct, emphasizing how this isn't trivial. You do have to deal with the fact that it's exactly that. It's not trivial. And that's the kind of thing that needs to take place. People have to take philosophy as seriously as they take their sports. They have to acquire knowledge of the statistics and what a fact is and all that stuff. And well, anyway, so in the context of these sloppy, stupid videos that Piro's making, I mean, it's just like, it's another one of the game-playing bullshit. I'm for something, but I don't believe in it at all. I'm here to be entertained, or I'm here to, smell your curry. And I'm not. I'm here to get something done. So I really don't have any interest in smelling people's curry. I mean, it's just, he's such an imbecile. I mean, it's just no. I mean, he just talks shit. And that's exactly the thing we need to get rid of, is all this shit, distracting, distortion, perversion of the point. So anyway, he's starting these stupid videos now with stupid soundtracks, the intro crap. Just another example. I like curry. I like this. I like that. So I will not try to make myself generic. I'll just throw personal indulgence right in your face. And I suppose we all do that to some extent, but I'm just saying in this realm of making arguments, you really don't want to do anything excessive. I mean, sometimes a little personal story is relevant. Sometimes, and yeah, we can all make mistakes in terms of thinking, you know, one of our little personal stories has meaning. But I mean, the idea is not to waste time, to make the story mean something and be poignant. But obviously, intro is for people who just want to manipulate. That's for people who want to do propaganda or mind control or some other kind of bullshit, because that can't possibly have anything to do with informing somebody or making an argument or doing anything useful at all except wasting people's fucking time. So anyway, between all his technical crap, playing his music over the guy, so he rags on me about my somehow less than brilliant performance in playing people's videos and critiquing them. And while this guy's talking, he's sitting there playing with his drum machine. At least I didn't do that in my videos. Cunt. What a fucking douche. Yeah, so yeah, well, whatever. Alright, so this is somewhere around one of his stupid comments.
One part of them, right, is that they're not going to suddenly go, do you know what, I've had to think about it, and I just totally disown everything that I was saying the other week. All right, entirely changed my perspective on this.
The whole idea that people are, that we're discussing things to convince the person we're discussing with is ludicrous.
So again, that's just kind of silly, right? Because yes, that's really who you want to convince is the hardest target. That's sort of the game. That's what a good gladiator wants to do, is beat gladiators. He doesn't want to beat his children or his wife. Okay, he wants to get to the real thing, the real deal. And if you've got an argument or you've got the truth, that should be the fight you want, is for the guy who's completely anti that truth. Because if you can win that one, you can win them all. And that's the goddamn, I think, the rational objective, is to win them all. And to win them not because you were hip or cool, or because you had the right eye color or some other bullshit, or because you made some smells they like. No, you win, you know, cute kitty. You used images or you used some other cheat to try to, you know, bend it to your advantage. No, you made a straight up argument and it was fucking brilliant. Yeah, that's what you want to do. So obviously we don't have the same ambition. And the idea of creating this whole thing is the idea of creating a debate forum. Wouldn't be for the purpose of not convincing. It would be for the purpose of convincing and declaring winner and asshole.
That never happens. Alright? We are discussing things with each other to find out the crazy ideas the other person has, because they're hard.
Well, see, apparently he has some problem where he doesn't understand why people are crazy or what exactly their crazy ideas are. You know, this whole we're here to learn or we're here to listen, that might be your agenda. It's not my agenda. Okay, I usually know why people are the assholes they are. I mean, it's not hard to figure out the psychology or the personal interest. You can always usually find it. Because it's there, and why their principles are lacking. You can usually find a self-interest that has made them incapable of recognizing a principle, or being a grotesque hypocrite in the sense of, oh yes, I love my dog, but it's okay for me to hire somebody to go beat a pig and kill it, and you know, present it to me in consumable chunks. Yeah, we know why people have those hypocrisies. And the point is that you have to just make the argument to them, hey, it's a hypocrisy, and I know you don't want to really admit you have one, but you do. And it's a big, disgusting hypocrisy. It's like a herpes. You have it, you have it. Fucking philosophical herpes.
Simulate. Cat on the keyboard.
Yeah, whatever. Blame everything on the cat. Alright, so I think we got that point, so we'll jump ahead to the next piece of shit, which is somewhere around, let's see here, throwing a little extra.
little point that you can make rather than shouting at somebody, every little well-crafted argument or legitimate...
And this whole argument by these lame asses about something about how shouting doesn't work, or this doesn't work, or that doesn't work, I think is all another pile of shit. There's all kinds of different ways that people can articulate an argument, and it's going to mean something to all the different kinds of people out there. And displays of passion are, in my opinion, just as good as, or just as valid as little tears or cry face or woman with a few buttons undone. Oh, wait a minute, that's probably tackier. You know, when you see that, it's just, you know, you're just saying, I mean, you're wearing a sweater with buttons, you know, and yeah, I can kind of see, like, you chose, okay, I could see having the first button undone. And I personally would like the second button. But the third button was just fucking gratuitous. You're just being a whore. I mean, you're just basically saying, look at my boobs. Forget about what I'm saying. And then you're arguing in terms of feminism, and you're just like, oh, so you're making an argument in talking about women's pay or some kind of issue that matters, and you're doing it with your third button. You know, undone. Sorry, that just smells like manipulation to me. I mean, it just sounds like you're a bullshitter.
The point that you can make is just a little token to your credit. And
so the point is to change the rest of the world, I guess. You guys are all fucking nuts.
Alright, so you're all fucking nuts. So changing the world isn't somehow possible. The memes that have controlled mankind for thousands of years can't be shot down. They can't be destroyed. They can't be buried on the ash heap of history. We haven't buried any memes on the ash heap of history anywhere, have we? No, we have. I mean, some of them I'd say through grotesque propaganda. I mean, we didn't do it in any kind of honest way. The whole fanatical rejection of communist ideology, as if all system design is bad and all freedom is good. That kind of idiocy wasn't an honest defeat of some totally negative meme. It was, the negative meme was not recognizing that you do have to have a principled system, which means you can't just give people power to be selfish cunts. So your authorities have to have a bigger gun pointed at their head. We have to tie the shotgun to the head of the public servants. So no matter where they go, they can't hide from us being able to pull the trigger and blow their motherfucking cunt heads off. And if the public servants don't want the higher scrutiny and higher accountability, then let them get a job some fucking place else. But the fact is, that's a really easy one for us to demand. It's really easy for us to say to the public servants, you either want to do what you're required to do, or you're going to be called a traitor and you're going to be executed. But yeah, you're not gonna commit even misdemeanors. Okay, you either do your job as a servant to the people and be happy and proud to be of use to the human race, or fuck you. Eat a bullet that we will feed to you in the appropriate manner.
This is, to me, this is about, see, I'm a political activist in the sense that I've tried to do various things.
Oh, yeah, this bullshit again. Oh, well, I've spent about 58 minutes in my whole life doing activism, you know, and he's just, oh, yeah, I was there in the 60s with you, brother. I was there, and, yeah, I was there. Bull fucking shit. But anyway, besides the point, this braggiosity, you know, I've been changing the world my whole life, and yeah, I've been an activist, and blah, blah, blah. But I wasn't really trying to convince anybody of anything. I was just trying to understand their position. And, yeah. Then you're useless as an activist. Useless. Preposterously useless. Alright, well, we'll jump a little ahead of his monologue of what a hero I am.
And, to me, this public discussion is to inform me about how people think.
Yeah, so... Yeah, sorry, yes, that has nothing to do with it for me. So, for me, I'm here to do this because I see a truth. And it's glaring and loud, and it's not being respected. And it's kind of like a trial. You're seeing a trial take place. There's an innocent victim, and the propagandists and the liars and the cheaters are completely raping the truth in the trial. And the social justice is to show up and say, no, here's the real facts. Here's the truth. All right? Don't let these bullshitters tell you that they're on the right side, or they're good people, or they're nice people. They're not. All right? They're fucking cunts. And if you let enough of them in your country, you know, things like Jack Kevorkian in jail for 7 years happens. See, he's for all these rights and all this shit, and then he'll defend the very instruments that will take our rights away. Because he's a fucking imbecile. He's not even a hypocrite, because he's not smart enough to even recognize that he contradicts himself constantly. So he's really just stupid. There's no other word for it. A pretentious, undereducated blowhard. Yeah. With his big pile of facts. Illegals are more law-abiding than the regular population. I mean, the very fact that they're here illegally, I guess, doesn't count. So the fact that they already broke the law by being here in the first place, that doesn't matter. And then the fact that they have fake IDs, well, that's not a crime. And the fact that they use their fake IDs to do all kinds of fake things, that's not a crime. I mean, please. Amazing.
Well, no, let's put it this way. We make videos. 10 times as many people as us don't make videos, but comment. And 10 times as many people as them don't watch videos and don't comment. Right? So there's this tenfold, you know, and another tenfold is probably hearing about ideas that come from those videos.
So this is just another one of these things. You're just saying that's just so fucking retarded. I mean, he doesn't even know what isolation is. He doesn't even know, like, you're in a closet, that somehow the butterfly effect is happening. No, if you're in a closet, you flapping your wings isn't going to go anywhere because you're in a closet. You're in a closed system. And it'll only affect your closed system. But it's not going to get out in any way that's going to matter in any significant way whatsoever. And the whole purpose of creating this debate forum that would be compelling and entertaining and all this, have to have all these extra values included in it, is for this very reason, is that because it has no significance until you get into the real arena, until you get into the real wheels of popular culture. And so this is just another way of somehow implying that there's some sort of value outside of that mechanism in terms of some sort of substantial value, when we know that no, it's like 1,000,000 times more. My words are 1,000,000 times more powerful if 1,000,000 more people are hearing them. It's just almost the truth there. I mean, it's just silly to... There's no 10-10-10 thing. This is just another silly theory that has nothing to do with reality. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't apply to this circumstance anyway, whatever your 10 thing is. There is no multiplied effect. The effect dies. Our voice gets weak and weak and weak the further away somebody is from it, and that's the way it is. And it's not heard at all. No one's hearing me in China. There's no multiplying effect as my words bounce across the ether. No, they're just consumed, and the noise drowns them out, and they are irrelevant. So anyway, it's just such a stupid, you know, he just doesn't have a clue.
But not commenting or watching or anything. And so on and so forth. Consider it like an infinite regression of tenfold.
Well, whatever. See, so now it's an infinite regression. So he doesn't understand the unsustainable curve thing when it comes to why the planet's doomed in terms of the greenhouse gases and all that kind of shit. He doesn't understand unsustainable population growth. He doesn't understand that you can't keep investing in an economy that requires more people to be in debt, okay, to make more value for other people to claim ownership of. He just doesn't understand a fucking thing about any of those curves. But he believes in some infinite curve where I say something on the internet and somehow, even though it's just ignored, it's more ignorable as you get like an inch away from the screen. It's like gravity. It's 4 times more ignorable. He'll pretend it's doing exactly the opposite because he's an idiot. Just talking babble. So anyway, enough said. Just very, very irritating people are. And so yeah, I can only do what you know, what in my opinion, this whole idea of making the human machines work better, more efficiently, is neither a hard concept to understand why it's necessary to have an efficient systems where like even if you were a bunch of communities of anarcho lunatics, you'd still want some system that protected you from the guy who would live upstream and poo in your drinking water. You'd still want some way that wasn't going to happen, because you wouldn't want to be drinking his poo, and you know it. And that's all we really are talking about here. It's just figuring out what things are toxic enough. There's enough poo in the water for us to say we got to fix that. We have to apply some engineering to that problem that enables us to do it without hurting anyone, you know, without damaging them substantially, and just find some rational mechanism that where everybody can agree. Everybody can sign the piece of paper that says, yes, I don't want poo in my drinking water. Not hard to do. And I'm just saying that when it comes to what we are as thinking people, there's obvious poo in the philosophical water, like religion. Delusions that, you know, the happy future will come to the rescue, when the happy future has nanotechnology in it, you know, maybe pocket nuclear weapons. The future has lots of very dangerous things in it, and you have to acknowledge that there's really no evidence that you can deal with that mind field of dangerous things. And that you'll probably, if you don't think about it in advance, if you don't have a plan in advance, you'll be sending your 10-year-olds out to go step in the mines and blow up and have their little limbs blown off like the Iranians did. All for Allah. Praise be. Anyway, separate subject. So, no, there's nothing. He's an idiot. I just acknowledge he's not functional. He can't get with the program. He just talks it when he's like I say, he's like a, what do you call those people that just, oh yeah, I just want to, you know, mitigator. You know, they just want to clean things up so it's okay, everything's okay, and so they just lie just to make it okay. But I think he's something worse than that, actually. This whole thing where he conceded points, and it's as if the concession, that word, I concede your point, as if that doesn't mean anything. It's supposed to mean something. If you concede one of my points, that means that your position is in jeopardy. And here he is defending his position more aggressively today than he did before he said, I concede. Just no reduction in his temperament whatsoever. As if the word just doesn't mean anything. And that's, you guys gotta call bullshit on that. Yeah. If you conceded that there's a problem that has to be dealt with, and you're not dealing with it, you suck. That's the definition of suck. That's, you know, it's one of these not too complicated things. Of the many not too complicated things that have to do with us and trying not to be an asshole. which really isn't that difficult, and really has nothing to do with your actual asshole, or saying asshole, or even occasionally behaving like an asshole. It really just has more to do with that whole idea of being a liar and a cheater and a propagandist for some sort of selfish personal interest that you're not declaring ahead of time, or something like that. But anyway, enough. So, yeah, so I'm still mission oriented, and I just do what I can. And the only thing I do learn from this experience is that, it's unfortunately humans just might be too stupid. Generally speaking, idiocracy might already own too much of the gray matter, and it's unrecoverable. Because it's just going to keep talking like a 9-year-old, like a Trump. Ugh, puke.